Oh, fuck. Shit. Oh, God. Okay. It's freaking wet. Everything is wet. Sleeping bags. Everything is wet. Honey, did you see my GPS? Where is it? I hope I packed it. Oh, can you pass me the Red Bull, please? Did I pack toilet paper even? Did you remember? Did I apply anti-chafing cream on my butt? I can't remember. I'm really not sure I want to do this actually. Oh my god, I gotta pee. Right now, please. I just started at 4:30 doing the Santa Rosa Traverse first because that's the most difficult part. It's 45-ish miles without water, very slow, lots of bushwhacking. So it's going to be a long 4 or 5 days, 210 miles.
As you can imagine, I was dead wrong with my estimates and my planning. Pretty much nothing seemed to go according to plan on this trip. I made at least 17 bad decisions, probably a lot more. Each of them contributed in some way to the epic failure of this adventure. Bad decision number 1. The desert has ticks? Yes, apparently, and I had completely forgotten how many ticks I got on the first Santa Rosa Traverse last December. I should really have treated my gear and brought some DEET as well. I ended up picking ticks off myself all day and night. Bad decision number 2.
It's going great. It's snowing.
After seeing the weather forecast a few days before the start, I decided to order extra waterproof socks and gloves. That was in itself an excellent idea, however, it was executed too late. The gloves and the socks simply didn't arrive on time. Bad decision number 3. During my packing frenzy, I grabbed a pair of shoes without double checking the size. Well, turns out they were the wrong size. Thankfully I had another pair, but they were beaten up with more than 500 miles on them.
Thank God I brought crampons. Wouldn't have been possible, it was very icy.
Bad decision number 4. For some unknown reason, I decided that I wouldn't need a poncho. After all, it's the desert, right? Well, this turned out to be a major misjudgment. Bad decision number 5. They did have ponchos at the local store, yet I decided not to buy one because they felt too heavy. How silly. I was deeply regretting that decision later in the adventure when the atmospheric river hit the fan, so to speak. Bad decision number 6.
Plus food for 27-ish hours. Needless to say that the pack is very, very heavy.
When I loaded my pack the night before I started, I forgot to add the extra calories that I bought in California. As a result, I only had calories for about 12 hours. But it ended up taking me over 30 hours to get that very first section done. The lack of sufficient calories and water led to a major slowdown.
Let's just say this is fucking hell. It's fucking insane.
Bad decision number 7.
I decided to start in the early morning. Still in the dark though. instead of last night. The goal was to get a good night of rest. I hope this will pay off.
According to my original spreadsheet, I was supposed to start into the night. That would have allowed me to do the difficult bushwhacking sections during the day. However, at the very last minute I decided that sleep was more important, so I slept for a good night and then started in the morning. While I did get a good night of sleep, I did pay a fairly high price by being very slow throughout the night in these difficult sections. Bad decision number 8. The weather forecast for the next 3 to 5 days was really terrible. High winds, atmospheric rivers, floods, and even snow. I thought I would be fine as long as I would be off the higher elevation peaks and passes, but I was not. With the gear and shelter that I had, I found it impossible to stay dry and warm. Twice I went into hypothermic episodes. Hypothermia kills, so you want to be really careful in such situations. Bad decision number 9. The shelter I had was totally inappropriate. I carried a tarp and a water-resistant bivy bag only. In strong winds, torrential rain, and misty fog, that's just really not enough to stay dry. Bad decision number 10. Not only did I have an inappropriate shelter for the weather, I also failed to use it appropriately. Instead of setting it up, I slept under big boulders twice. That was fine while the wind and the rain weren't too strong yet, but once conditions got worse, everything was wet within minutes, and before I woke up. Bad decision number 11. Unfortunately, I didn't properly check all my GPS tracks that I had created. It turned out that some of them had quite significant mistakes and inaccuracies in them that led to major bushwhacking episodes.
Lost at least an hour and the GPS track was way off. Couldn't find the trail, had to go back and do it again and again and again. It was, God, so stressful. Anyway, it's horrible. It's really horrible.
Bad decision number 12.
Very hard to find. There's some rocks, some cairns, but it does weird things.
I decided that I probably didn't need topographical maps on my GPS. I was quite wrong. They would have been a huge help for the off-trail navigation and orientation, especially at night, and for finding alternative routes when I got stuck in terrible bushwhacking. Bad decision number 13. There were parts of the route that I didn't properly recon beforehand. There was some terrible bushwhacking where I thought I would find a buttery and smooth trail. And as one of many consequences, I ripped my rain pants into uncountable pieces. Bad decision number 14. I carried a pretty significant collection of gloves, hats, socks, and other layers. Yet, when the atmospheric river really hit, I went through all of these items pretty quickly. Neither the supposedly waterproof rain jacket nor the waterproof over mitts last more than a couple of hours.
Really hypothermic. Completely exhausted. This was one of the worst experiences. Completely freaking hopeless. Bushwhacking for almost 5 hours.
My rain pants were shredded to pieces, and all I had was a skimpy rain skirt. But what I really needed was a poncho. Bad decision number 15. As always, I had created very detailed spreadsheets to plan my pace, my calories, my water needs, etc., etc. Yet, this time my predictions were really far off. At the end of the adventure, I was a whopping 15 hours behind my predicted schedule. Bad decision number 16. The many spreadsheets were also particularly flawed for planning the nighttime. There were several sections that were quite challenging at night. Unfortunately, due to the terrible planning, I had to do all of these sections at night. Bad decision number 17.
Once again, seems completely hopeless. I cannot make progress. Extremely tired. I don't have enough calories. I can't make progress. It's so frustrating. I can't quit here. There's no way I can just stop.
Because the weather was very windy, wet and cold, it was not only hard to eat, but I simply also didn't have enough calories packed in my resupplies. And as a consequence, I worked myself into a deep calories deficit over the 3+ days. And once you're in a deficit, it's just very challenging to get out of it. The end was cold, wet and ugly. I simply couldn't stay warm and had 0 dry layers left. Given the extended forecast for really terrible weather, there was no way I could dry my gear and continue. I ended up becoming hypothermic again. The storm lasted for about 2 days and dumped a lot of rain and snow.